Alright, y'all, what's up? I'm gonna make this video real quick. So basically, I'm making this video. Um, it's speaking on pretty much in relationships of the most, I think, is potential disaster waiting to happen is the the dangerous risk of communicating with exes and communicating with um, baby mamas. So that's why I mean exes, baby mamas, and baby daddies. It's a big risk, and I say that because if you think about it, society has built this baby mama, baby daddy system to break up families also. If you think about it, it's a spirit to also break up families because if you think about it, once you go away from a person, you're supposed to like have absolutely no ties with that person, no emotional ties with that person. So if you have emotional ties with that person, then you're low key like emotionally cheating, because it's like, think about it. If I sit there, if me personally, if I have a baby mama and then I have my wife and I'm talking to my baby mom constantly, and like I'm like telling her all my innermost, confiding in her on my innermost like day-to-day basis, then there's emotional tie that's going to come. That's a bond. That's bringing a bond. Whether you label that or not, it's creating a bond. So or the man too, like the woman too, she's sitting there like talking to whoever. It can be a guy also, like confiding in it. That's an emotional bond, an emotional tie. So what happens is, and what happens a lot, and people they don't see the danger in it at that time because they think they're strong enough. But when problems arise in a relationship, what usually happens? This is like, you can look this up and anybody can tell you. What usually happens is if they're mad at their spouse or they're mad at the person they're dealing with on a relationship basis, what do? Usually you'll see them run and confide in the ex, or they will confide in their ex baby mama or ex baby daddy. And usually it's the baby daddy that is really hard to kick because they have children together. So it's like the person may try and use the fact that, well, hey, they have my child, blah, 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 but in actuality, no. We actually look at the balance is that if I'm more in tune with my baby mama than my wife, if I can't run to my wife and like talk it out with her, then something's wrong. If I have to go and I have to like seek social media to cool me down, something's wrong, because you have to think about it. What if there is no social media? What if it wasn't Facebook? Then you will go and look for a person. You will actually talk to, you will confide in another woman or another man. And which means that you don't have control of your emotions. A person like that, there's no telling what they can do because they're controlled by their emotions. They're led by their emotion. And when you're led by your emotion, it forces you to do ignorant or extreme behavior. You know what I'm saying? We all been guilty of that. I know I have. I could get lost in what I feel, especially, and that's mostly that happens in anger. I usually get lost in how I feel when it comes to how angry I get. I can get lost and like make some stupid decisions. But like back to what I'm saying is that like one has to be like really in tune with their self and not lie to their self and say, am I strong enough to be able to be unhappy by myself? And what I mean by unhappy is, if you have a problem with your spouse, are you able to be in control? And if you can't speak to your partner, meditate on what's going on in your mind first to dissect what's really going on. Then be unbiased and check to see if there's something that you could have did better. Because 9 out of 10 on both sides, somebody could have did something better. You know what I mean? Both could have did something better. So I feel like one of the things to heal yourself from it is, instead of running to social media, or instead of running to a person on the hotline, or instead of running to anything that you should get from your spouse, anything that you should be getting from your spouse emotionally, you shouldn't be trying to find that in someone else. Because usually, if you think about it, those are the tools that will create a cheater. Infidelity. You know what I mean? If you're doing this, those are those are just little seeds that will plant into infidelity. You know what I mean? Because eventually that won't be enough. Eventually the person will graduate into it getting physical. It won't be enough to please you. You'll be like, I've been doing this for way too long, and now I just feel like I need to be in someone's arms. You know what I'm saying? You might have a problem with your husband for about what? It might be months. It might be 2 months. It depends on what happened. And you can't just be like out there, if you're a God-fearing person, like a God-fearing man or woman, you can't just be out there looking for every Johnny to find, or every, you know what I'm saying, Sierra to find. You know what I mean? So it comes to the point where one must be like responsible and mature to be able to sit there in their feelings and dissect it, and, you know what I'm saying, heal it over that way, or talk to their spouse about what they feeling, what they want. Because I'm telling you, divorce rates are going up because of this. Unhappiness is happening because of this, you know, and it's a real big problem. You know what I mean? It's a real big problem, and it has to stop. And I made this video because, you know, I probably won't be able to make one until like another day or two, but we really gotta be able to be like real, and be able to be like vulnerable. That's the whole thing. It's very hard to be vulnerable and in front of people. We want to feel strong and tough, but on the inside we're being torn apart, and we want our counterpart of being our spouse. We want them to be, you know what I'm saying, this perfect person. But then again, it's like we're not being that. And so what I mean by that is, if you want your spouse to project what you want, you got to project that too. You got to be that. You got to lead in that. You got to be an example like Christ. He wants us to be Christ-like. You got to be spouse-like. You know what I mean? You got to be like your spouse. So I have to how that look is, if I'm always angry and I'm always going off on my spouse, then my spouse is going to become angry, because that's what I'm projecting on to her. You know what I mean? She's going to eventually pick that up, and then I'm not going to have any peace, because then she's going to start blowing fire at me. You feel me? But if I'm showing love constantly, if I'm constantly showing love, and I'm constantly showing understanding, trying to get understanding, and I'm practicing that and trying to be that with her, then she's going to do the same thing. It's going to be a natural response that she's going to like want to try and do the right thing. She's going to try to understand my point, because a lot of time is people don't care. It's not so much disagreement. It's the fact that one is feeling like the other don't understand. Misunderstanding. That's the main thing. People want to just be understood. They just want to hear the words, at least, that I see what you're talking about, but I disagree. That's all. At least, and that's with me. I can listen to a person all day long, but if they don't know, if they not trying to hear what they trying not to hear what I got to say, then it's like it don't hit home. But if they hear what I have to say, and then they make their judgment and their conclusion, then I can actually be like, okay, well, you heard me out. You see what I'm talking about. It's okay. You don't understand. You know what I'm saying? Or you don't agree. That's different than being like, oh, that's different than projecting your own opinion onto somebody and making it be their opinion. Try and make your opinion be their opinion, so they don't got a voice. That's taking the voice away from them. You can't do that. That's a tyrant. You can't do that. That's dictatorship. So if someone says something, you have to be like, you have to take them for that value. You know what I mean? But anyway, I say this will be short. It's 10 minutes. I really don't like to watch videos no longer than 10 minutes. So yeah, I'm gone. Hope that helped.